let's talk a little bit about the preset and setup. So patient preset and then setup. So you want feet flat on the floor, hands in weight bearing. Is usually a good setup. Some patients can practice standing. Some patients can practice standing activities without that support, but most of them, if you're doing handling on somebody, usually the reason you're putting your hands on them is because they need some upper extremity support as well. Okay, so just sit for. So what are some options about how we could set up this environment? We could put a table in front of her, right? And then if you were going to do this, where would you position yourself?
Beside her.
You could be sitting here, right? You could have hands here and here, hands here and here, hands here and here. Or you could be behind her, right? So you could work this, you could be behind her, okay? And whatever, okay? You could be behind her too, right? You could be sitting on the side and use your leg if you need to use both your arms too, right? Okay. So lots of options for where you want to be depending on how the patient can control their upper extremities and their arms. So the other option is not have a surface in front of them. They could be with their hands on their knees, on the mat, right? Sitting up tall. Another option, if you want to be in the front, is you can take two tables. So you could do a ton of sitting things. You could be in the front, you could be behind, right? For sitting activities, you could do scooting like this. You want to get that upper extremity support in a different configuration. And this is automatically getting the trunk up. And the important thing is the setup for this is you want there to be about a 90-degree angle. If it's too high, she's going to do this. If it's too low, she might start to feel unbalanced or pressured. Now, here's the trick. If you're going to use this type of setup for standing activities, why don't you stand up? If you start here, then you end up here, right? So you could start with her hands out of weight bearing or maybe on your shoulders or something, but then you have to make sure that when she's standing, that you have this configuration. So tell me what you like about this. I like this a lot. Tell me what you like about this.
Keeps her symmetrical.
She's symmetrical, right? And she's getting weight bearing where? To her entire surface of her. As she gets better, what could you do? You can lower it and just have her weight bearing in her hand, right? This sets the environment up for them to go, oh yeah, midline, I'm there, right? Without you even touching them, they get that. You could be here and here. What do you like about this? And again, if these were high-low mats, right, you can make this higher, lower. Right?
You could use parallel bars too.
You could use the parallel bars. What would be not helpful in the parallel bars? What don't you want to teach them? You don't want to, so if this is her impaired side and she's holding on to the parallel, she's holding on to this side. So you want to put her, the key is, and I agree, the key is symmetrical weight bearing. Put it across the parallel bars and have the weight bearing there. Right? And again, you can make the parallel bars higher, so they could be here. So this could be her setup for standing. I'm going to take this away so you can see what we're going to do. If she's not standing with any upper extremity support, what are other options for her arms? At her side, right? It could be on your shoulders. The only thing you have to be careful about with that is, A, can they keep there, and B, if I'm really little, if I'm really lower than her, she would potentiate her leaning forward. So that's just something to think about. So what do you want someone to be able to do when standing? What's the scaffolding? You want them to be able to stand, and you want them to be able to find midline and hold it there. Okay, so that's step one. You could say to that patient, don't let me move you. You could do it here, and that could get them to start to hold in this position. And we're going to practice some of this next week, but we'd certainly start there. So once she's up and she's stable, then what do you want to do? Weight shift. I'm going to give her a really light cue. My hands are in this position, and I'm just going to cue her side and side. It's just a small weight shift. Okay. What else could you do? You could do rotation, right? You could also do come forward a little bit, the back a little bit. The other thing you could work on in standing is bend your knees a little bit and come up. So work in and out of the position too. So you could do sort of modified squats. Really, really helpful. Okay. You could do a modified squat, turn and look at the window, turn and look at the other window. You could have the patient draw a figure of 8, right? You can play with, really play with this. How do you make it harder for them once they're getting this? How do you make it harder?
Feet closer together.
You could change the base of support. What else could you do?
Put the objects further away.
You could have them reach for, so basically think of internal perturbation. You could have them lift an arm, lift another arm. You do the last thing with this. And once, if you had to support an involved side, you could have all the setup with the arms, very helpful. What if you needed to give them more stance control support, so they could start to do weight shifts and get some weight on that side? Perfect, right? It would have already been there because why? I probably needed this for sit to stand, or the turns, or whatever. So I'm here, I have one hand, for this one, you need one hand behind, because what you're doing is, it's the lever, right? You're closing it, the counter pressure. So I'm here and here, I got her, she can't bend her knee, and then all I do is shift a little bit to that side. And shift, and you got her. So you can do the weight shifts. You could do from center, you could turn and look at the window, right? More control, turn to the other side, right? Now is you can give her a weight shift and just say, this is her impaired side. Just lift your left heel up, just lift it up and down. What does that do? Lift it up. Now, Jill, what I want you to do is, I want you to wiggle your left toe out and heel out, and heel out. Now wiggle it back in. Good. What does that do?
So weight shifting to the right.
Still weight shifting to the right, okay? Now the next thing she can do is all I want you to do is I just want you to slide, and you can put the slider on for that, and I'll pull the sliders out. Slide your left foot forward, just slide it forward, step and slide it back. And slide it forward. What is that? Pre-stepping. Slide. Slide. Now, could you have her take a step? Step. And step. And step. And the big thing is, this is what patients want to do. They want to do this. Okay, so what you're doing is you're keeping them in midline. Keep them and step back. The other thing I start to work with is a bigger step because I want them to get that terminal stance and pre-swing position. Do this with the leg thing. You'd be here and here, right? Stay up tall. And I want you to just lift your heel up.
This one?
Yep. And down. Down, lift it up. And down. Wiggle out. And down. Go back in.
So you do a good dancer.
Good. And slide your foot out.
Oh, you're Kristen.
Slide your foot out. And here you have to be careful about, you have to make sure you're not blocking them because they need to go into a little more dorsiflexion, right? So you need to come down a little bit on your heel and come on back. And come forward. Good. And come back. And what am I doing is just coming forward. Keeping the hand straight like this, okay? And then you can do stepping as well, right?